Good morning. Good morning, my beautiful friends. This is your wake up call with Maui Paul. I am Maui Paul. We are here today to say some nice things about ourselves. Looks like Pepper put up a question of the day. When did a setback turn into something good? That is a wonderful question. Thanks so much for putting that up there, Pepper. And so let's just take a look and see what you guys have to say, because I see there's quite a bit of comments. Looks like that one looks like that one struck a chord with some folks. So good morning, Lauren from Paradise, and Dan coming in from Buford. Jan, probably from your nest at Paradise. and Shauna, most likely from your house up by Big Canoe. Good morning. Let's see here. So Dan says, setback to good, being laid off, providing the time to fall in love with Stacy. Oh, that's a wonderful thing.
And Stacy's so wonderful.
And Stacy's so wonderful and so good for you. Let's see, and that's such an interesting thing, to being laid off and having, yeah, it's something that typically guys get scared about, of being, losing our job, losing our position, and having it not really be our fault, nothing that we did. I've been laid off before. It's no fun, but but the fact that it allowed you to have the time to get to know and fall in love with Stacy is a beautiful thing. Jen says, I'm currently this person living this life right now. That means every setback I thought I was actually having was actually a step up, satisfied, and more. Amen to that, Jan. I found that all the setbacks that I've ever had in life were also step ups, and although they didn't always feel like that in the moment. Lauren said, when I was trying to sell my previous home, it got nervous thinking it would end up with two mortgages because it was 3 months before the closing date. A month before, a friend showed interest. We closed 2 days before New Year's. Yay! That's great, Lauren. And yeah, I can understand, because homes are a wonderful thing to have if you're living in them, and a burden to have when you're not. My my dad once told me, when we were talking about how much his equipment cost, because my dad had a metal shop, and so he had millions of dollars worth of equipment. And we were talking about just how much money he had to spend on this equipment. And he says, well, it takes money to make money. And he also said, and when you're not making money with it, it's worthless. He's like, this equipment might cost me $1 million, but it's not worth $1 million to the next guy unless they can make money with it. It's worth absolutely nothing to them. And he was 100% right. And when my dad passed away, I have a whole box full of his tools, probably $100,000 worth of tools sitting in my storage unit that are worthless to me, because I don't have a metal shop to go with them. And yeah, while these tools have great value, they have no value to me, because even though I know how to use them, it's just I'm not using them to make money. Therefore, they have no value. They certainly have sentimental value, though. Let's see here. Uh, all right. Jan says, if anything feels like a setback, it's actually just a sidestep. Keep dancing, baby. Yeah, we do indeed dance through life. And Dan says, I've always said that for me, when something bad happens, something better happens. Yeah, let's send some extra love to Kelly Walker. Thank you, Jan, for letting us know about that. Kelly's going into heart surgery this morning. Should be in it soon. Kelly, we love you. We appreciate you. And we sincerely hope that heart surgery goes well for you. So many prayers and positive thoughts up to Kelly, who we sincerely hope to see on the wake up call here again shortly.
May her recovery be swift.
Indeed, may her recovery be swift. I have so many stories about when a setback turned into something good. It's just incredible. I'd say that one that comes to my mind is I owned a restaurant in Costa Rica, and let me tell you, that was not a good choice to start up a restaurant in Costa Rica. It wasn't that my business acumen was terrible or that I didn't really work at it, but it was more that just like I didn't entirely understand the market. And it wasn't even that I didn't understand the market. I just didn't understand the fact that they didn't want to do business with me because of my background. And the Costa Rican people were very conflict averse. And so I was wondering why on earth I was offering amazing food at an amazing price and nobody was coming to my restaurant. And one day, one of my Costa Rican friends finally, got up the courage and told me that, he said, you're an outsider here. We're not going to give you money when we could be giving our cousin money, even if what you're selling is amazing, and it is amazing. Even if you're selling us a filet mignon hamburger for $2, we're still not going to buy it if there's a horse meat hamburger for $3 down the street that our cousin is selling us. He's like, he said the grandmothers who are running the other restaurant that's competing with you, like, we nursed at their breasts. And so, like, why would we even though what you're selling is better, we're not going to buy it. And I said, why didn't you guys tell me that when I was setting this up? I would have just not set it up. I would have just continued to allow everybody to eat the horse meat hamburger. And they're like, well, we didn't want to offend you. We didn't want to, we didn't want to make you feel bad. I'm like, believe me, y'all can make me feel bad. It's totally okay. Well, anyway, I closed down the restaurant, and I was thinking at that time, I was like, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to close down this thing. I'm kind of disgusted and disenchanted with living abroad at this point. I'm going to just sell everything and get out of the get out of the country, come back to the United States, or go to the next country, go traveling again, cut my losses, and leave this place. And as I was as I was working at that, I went up to the farmers market because it was a Saturday. I went up to the farmers market in the local town, and I heard this American guy arguing with the tomato vendor, and I speak Spanish. I spoke Spanish pretty well at the time. And so I was like, wait a minute, the tomato vendor's a nice guy. He's not really argumentative. And here's this guy's trying to talk to him in English. And it says it's not going to work because the tomato vendor doesn't speak a word of English. And so I went over to help. I went over to see if I could assist the tomato vendor, who was a friend of mine, and this other guy who speaks English, who I didn't know, but I sure do know English. And it turns out that this guy, who spoke English, was basically trying to buy like six tomatoes with the equivalent of a $200 bill. And the tomato vendor was trying to explain to him that he doesn't have change for that. And the American was thinking that this guy wasn't going to take his money. He's like, the purple bill works for everything. Well, it sure does because it's a $200 bill, but the tomato vendor doesn't keep change for $200. So I was like, listen, man, you can't do this. You can't. Don't give him the purple one. Give him the green one. And this person who I had never met before, who I actually eventually ended up becoming a client of mine, he said, well, he's like, I need a guy like you in my life. Come out to my barbecue on later on tomorrow. So I was like, okay, fine. So I came to this barbecue later on tomorrow at this beautiful house, and I found all of this whole new community of people that I had never met before. All the expats, all the U.S. expats, all this oil money from Texas, and all these folks who were very successful and living in all these beautiful mansions. And it turned in that very day. It actually, the day that I decided that my restaurant was not going to continue was the day that I started doing house sitting, or I started to book house sitting gigs with these wealthy people because I could speak English, I could speak Spanish, and I could help them to handle any conflict they had with all of their servants who were all native Spanish speakers. And these guys couldn't speak hardly any Spanish, and so I just started talking to their groundskeepers and their maids, and I said, what's going on? What is it? What messages do you have for your employer that your employer isn't getting through? And I just started making lists of all the things that needed to be done that these people who were trying to be good at their job were attempting to tell their employers. And boy, let me tell you, I became indispensable very quickly, and I was fairly well compensated just for being this like go between these people and the folks that they had hired to help make their lives easier. And so I started to do that, and then I continued to live in Costa Rica for like another 2 years, except instead of living in one little room in the back of my restaurant that was failing miserably, I was living in beautiful mansions that I was caretaking. And that was something that I had never seen coming. But I had to let go of the one thing. I had to release the one thing before the other thing would come. And I oftentimes think about that whenever life isn't going my way, whenever something isn't working. I'm like, wait a minute, maybe I just have to release the thing that isn't working so that the next thing can show up in my world. And as a quote from the Julia Cameron's book, The Artist's Way, says, "Leap and the net will appear." Yeah, it's hard to make the leap, but the net always has appeared in my life. So that's when a setback turned into something good for me. All right. Well, that turned into a pretty long story, but let's pull a card now. And it being Friday, let's pull a card off the top of the deck. I'm going to ask you if you are the affirmation on the card. We are going to respond out loud together. I am that affirmation. And then once we do that, we're going to go through the cards for the day, and for the week, I should say, and take a look and see what kind of a journey that Pepper has taken us on. So let's have some fun. Let's pull a card and say that today I am beautiful. I am beautiful. My spirit emanates grace and peace. So I am beautiful. My spirit emanates grace and peace. Are you beautiful? You are beautiful. Your spirit emanates grace and peace. I'm going to write that down in the comments, and I encourage you guys to do the same thing. And I am beautiful. And my spirit emanates grace and peace. And beauty is something that is not just skin deep. A lot of times I call somebody beautiful, and and if they're a boy, they look at me funny because they think that I'm talking about the way that their outside looks, but I'm always talking about the way that their insides look. You can. Somebody once asked me. They said, what parts do you find most attractive on people? What do you look at? And for me, the answer is always the eyes. I always look in their eyes. If they have a sparkly eyes, if their eyes have a light that shines out of their eyes, then I know that they have a beautiful soul. It's just a wonderful thing. I look at their eyes, and I look down, and I go down a little bit south. I look at their smile, and if they're smiling also, then I know that this is a person that I can get along with very, very easily. And beauty is not what we look like. Beauty is not the shape of our physical bodies. The media would have us believe that there's some kind of an ideal body shape. Especially, women are told this. One of the primary insecurities that women have is about the way that they look, just like one of the primary insecurities that men have is about how much that we earn. And so that's why, and that's why women don't like to, really compare themselves with each other about who looks better, because, well, for the same reason that men don't like to compare how much we earn. It's just, these are the social insecurities that are bred into us. And I like to just turn all that stuff on its head and say that we are all beautiful, that each and every one of us is unique, and that I haven't seen two bodies yet that look the same. Every body looks different, and every body looks beautiful. And for so long as the heart that's inside of the body is a beautiful heart, that stuff emanates through our flesh. It just comes through. When I lived on Maui, and when I lived in other tropical areas, and I lived in tourist areas, and I would very regularly see very pretty girls walking down the street wearing next to nothing. And some of these girls walking down the street wearing next to nothing were really, really pretty girls. They weren't beautiful. I couldn't I you know they I could just tell from the way that they carried themselves, the look that they had on their face, the way that they treated the people around them, the words that were coming out of their mouths. I was like, okay, you're a pretty person, but not a beautiful person. You're a person who's focusing all about on your looks, but not necessarily on your character. And I could tell because of the way that they carried themselves, and the way that they talked, and the topics of conversation they chose to speak as they walked down the street. And I saw other people that were beautiful, that were carrying themselves, and carrying themselves with grace, and that were striving for peace with all the people around them, and that were being peacemakers. And when the unbeautiful ones opened their mouths, oftentimes the beautiful ones would attempt to redirect the conversation to something more beautiful. And so I am beautiful. You are beautiful as well. I say it every morning. Good morning, my beautiful friends. When I say this, I'm not talking about your external physicality. Although, I mean, obviously, my friends are also really, really good looking, uncommonly funny, attractive, and smart. But really, I'm talking about the character that's inside of all of us. Every single part of our external physicality is eventually going to fade and fall away. It's just a reality of aging. It's a reality of being in this world and having experiences. Our bodies become the shape of our experiences. But the beauty that's inside of us, and especially when we cultivate it, it ages like a fine wine. It just gets better and better and better and better and better. And we oftentimes talk about people mellowing as we get older. And I think that the reason that we mellow as we get older is because we have these tough experiences, and we are able to empathize with others, and we realize that the things that we thought mattered, and the things that used to be super important to us, we realize that those are not as important to us, and those don't matter as much as we thought that they did. But there are other larger concerns for all of humanity that we start to concern ourselves with. I mean, the wake up call is a manifestation of that. The wake up call is a manifestation of me believing that if I can help everybody around me to focus on good things about us, that we can together make the world a better place. And I think that my world is an amazing place, and I believe that yours is as well. So even just today, one of a person who attends the wake up call, pretty regularly, Kelly, is going in for surgery. I wouldn't have known that except that the people here on the wake up call have told me that and have directed me to love on and pray for Kelly, and so I'm going to. And so and this is something that we can do together. So I am beautiful. You are beautiful as well. Our spirit emanates grace and peace. Good morning, good morning, Angela. Nice to see that you stopped in. Thank you so much for coming in here. And also, hey, thanks for buying Pepper and I a washing machine so that we can wash baby diapers not in the public washing machines. That was our main goal, was to be able to wash them things and not have it be in the resort washing machines, because y'all probably don't want to deal with that. So we'll just keep the poopy diapers to ourselves, and courtesy of a little washing machine that Angela has bought for us. How generous of you, Angela. Anyways, so let's go through the cards for the week and see where Pepper took us so far. So we started off on our Monday by affirming that we are brave, that we face adversity with maturity, and that bravery and that maturity that we face it with allows us to be calm and to remain clear-headed through uncertainty. What if there wasn't some uncertainty, we wouldn't have to really be brave through it, because we would already know it would be a foregone conclusion. um, that calmness allows us to express some courage, and we affirm that we are courageous, that we act with unwavering faith, that we make a decision and we stick with that decision, and then until we get new information that tells us that we need to make some kind of a change. And this being proactive about life allows us to be amazing, to radiate inspiration and instill confidence, and ultimately all of these things combined to help us to be beautiful, and to emanate that grace and that peace. Ultimately, as we go into Awesome Saturday, of course, we reaffirm that we are awesome, and so let's recognize our inherent value and worth. The fact that we are here doing this right now is inherently valuable and worthy, and we are equipped to handle whatever it is that's going on in our lives. So, so today, once again, we reaffirm that we are beautiful, that our spirit emanates grace and peace. And so let's do that. Let's emanate grace and peace. Let's give the people around us grace, because we don't know what kind of a battle that they're fighting. And let us experience peace in our own hearts about whatever is happening, knowing that whether we like it or whether we don't like it, it is nevertheless setting us up for the next thing. And that the next thing, at one point, what we have right now was the next thing. And I have to ask myself, when that happens, do I like what's going on right now, or do I not like what's going on right now? Am I overall happy with the way that life is going, or not? But at one point, I was afraid of what's happening right now. And I have to ask myself, when I think about all the good things in my life, like, well, what did I really have to be afraid of? So I am beautiful. You are beautiful. You are my beautiful friends, and I love you, and I care about you, and I appreciate you, and I believe in you. And for those who are going through adversity, I'm praying for you, and yeah, and so I am here for you every morning, Monday through Friday at 9 a.m. and at 11 a.m. for the awesome Saturday service, which tomorrow we will be talking about good and evil. And the juxtaposition between them, and kind of revisiting the story of the garden, which, if you're part of any kind of an Abrahamic religious tradition, you know all about the Garden of Eden. So we're going to be revisiting that, and kind of just getting my perspective on what is good, what is evil, and why was that eating the fruit of that tree such a discombobulating experience for all of humanity.
And why one cannot exist without the other, and why they are so important to keep each other in balance.
There we go. So I'll be talking about that stuff tomorrow. Come on by if you want to hear about it. 11 a.m. at the Awesome Saturday service. Come get some ass. I will talk to y'all, like I said, tomorrow at 11, and then again Monday at 9 a.m. Until then, I love you. I care about you. I appreciate you, and I will talk to you tomorrow. Until then, aloha. from paradise.